Welcome to the Consciousness Anywhere and Everywhere podcast. I am Shannonohara, and I invite you to a completely new world of possibilities. You are about to listen to a conversation in the relationship series in the Consciousness Anywhere podcast. Relationships are like snowflakes and fingerprints. They are completely unique. We hope that you find some magic, some ease, some peace, some possibility for you in your relationships somewhere in this relationship series. Enjoy. We love you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special treat. I am being joined by my father, Gary Douglas, and the phenomenal Dain Heer for a very different conversation and deep dive into relationships. If you're listening to this, hopefully you've listened to some of the other relationship-focused podcasts that have been coming out over the year. And today we are sure to learn some different points of view about relationships and some different ways of looking at what relationships can create, how they can be created, and just an overall different point of view. So
Definitely.
I don't know if I should give my synopsis of your guys' relationship, or if one of you guys would like to give a synopsis.
Oh, no, I want to hear yours.
Okay, my synopsis is you guys have one of the most unique relationships and partnerships that I know. So my dad and Dain are business partners. They're very close friends. They're co-creators. They're monetarily involved. They're not copulatorily or sexually involved, but very energetically involved. And so this is a very unique kind of relationship dynamic that very few of us really get a chance to witness or experience. And one of the things that I really wanted to share with people tuning into this podcast on this relationship focused series is I've inviting people on here who are willing to let other people see their relationship, since relationship can be a very closed off area if you're not in the relationship. And you guys are two of my biggest contributors that have helped me learn how to even create a relationship, be in a relationship with myself, let alone with somebody else in a way that works.
Yeah, well, that's definitely where it starts. And this man showed me that also. And you know, in many ways, we've shown each other that over the 25 years we've known each other.
Well, we've given that to each other, which is different. Because most people only give so much in a relationship, and then they figure they need to take or get their share. And it's like, there's no such thing as a share in my idea of relationship. I don't share my relationship. I have my relationship.
Yeah. Can you talk more about your idea of relationship as you said it? I've been asking people, like, what's your relationship philosophy? But I like the way you led into it with that.
Well, it's like, the thing is that it's like you can have a philosophy about a relationship, or you can live. And I am always trying to live. I'm not interested in what my philosophy is. I'm interested in what's going to work. And so it's like I'm always looking for the pragmatic way to make things work better.
I love how you say it so offhandedly. So what works in relationship?
Not having a point of view.
Therefore, not having a philosophy. Because what happens,
not needing to have a philosophy.
And when you have a philosophy or a point of view, you're continuously judging whether your judgment of your relationship matches your judgment of the judgment your relationship should be matching.
So if people don't have a point of view, a judgment, a philosophy, a framework, a structure, a thesis, a target, or maybe we won't add target to that, in relationship, how do they have one?
Exactly.
Well, I wrote the book, Divorceless Relationship, because what I wanted people to get was the idea that you don't divorce you to create a relationship. Because I noticed most people would divorce some part of themselves to have a relationship with another. And I can't divorce any part of me to have a relationship with Dain.
Even though I am so wonderful.
And perfect.
Thank you. Finally. Finally, it's out there in public. Okay, good. Um, one of the interesting things about I wouldn't even call it we have a relationship. Maybe that's a common term in some way, but it's like that's one of the things that
relationship is the distance between two objects. Is there a distance between us?
No. And sometimes we will try to create comfortable distance. It's like but when we're truly being us, there is none. And, we will buy into things that people buy into also. The difference with us is we go, you know what? This feels like we're distant. What's going on?
Working.
Yeah, it's not working for either one of us. And for me, I grew up cutting off my arms, my legs, my head, my penis, everything to try to make whoever I was in relationship with happy. And it was interesting to have a friendship with Gary who didn't require that. And
I don't require it.
When I say relationship, I'm talking friendships, girlfriends, like family. Every relationship I ever had, it seemed to be about what can I give? What can I contribute? How can I make them happy? And if they're not happy, I must be doing something wrong. But
that's what most people function from as relationship.
Yeah, truly.
Which is a great sadness as far as I'm concerned.
And that's also where that philosophy of relationship comes in that sticks you, whatever side you're playing of that, or both sides. And being around somebody who's like, no, you do you. I'm fine. I'm like, what? What do you mean you're fine? Well, then what value do I have if you're fine? How do I know you need me? And the funny part is I couldn't go there with Gary, because
I don't do needy.
It doesn't really do needy. And also it truly is a space of allowance. Hey, you be you. You choose what you need to choose for you. I will be fine. And what that gave is a space of looking for all the contributions he is to me, I am to him, that we could just be. We spend so much time thinking about relationship. We spend very little time being the gift of what they could be.
And being the gift we can be to everyone, which is the other thing is I don't exclude anyone from our relationship.
Neither do I. And that creates a place where everyone is actually contributed to more based on whatever we're willing to be and explore.
And that's been a real direct experience that I've had for sure. A lot of the things that you guys have gone through in your friendship and then shared has really educated me on how to not divorce me in relationship, how to be sort of a greater person in a relationship and in a scenario, and really how to step up, how to grow up.
If I had a philosophy, that's the kind of thing I would have as a philosophy. Your relationship should be something that is a creationship that leads you to something greater than what you have without the person. If I'm not better with Dain, then why am I with him?
Boom.
Great. And so can we talk a little bit of the nuts and bolts of that philosophy? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people mightn't have ever even considered the reality of acknowledging that they might be divorcing themselves in their relationship. And then...
Well, you have to be bluntly honest with yourself and go, okay, so am I divorcing me? And who or what am I fighting for or against? I heard from a lady this morning, I'm still fighting. And she said, I want you to mentor me. And I said, I can't mentor you if you need to fight me. I can only mentor you if I can tell you things and you can hear it. She goes, I have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I went, okay, then this isn't going to work. I'm very pragmatic about these things. You cannot work against or for anything and work to have you. You have to be willing to receive everything and to be everything, to have all of you.
Yeah, that's an interesting, you cannot work for or against anything to have you, which a lot of people actually would probably do function from the opposite. I know I'll speak for myself. For many years, I thought that if I was right or if I fought for my point of view, then I would have me more.
Yeah.
which only wound up creating greater separation between me and the people that I was fighting to have me more against.
Yes.
That wasn't creationship. That was me being in a bubble of rightness that would eventually wind up being all alone.
Well, yeah.
Well,
and the thing is that you always end up being alone when you have to fight against something. I mean, you have some very interesting examples. Your biological father and biological mother both have a need to fight for everything.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the, I guess, the interesting thing. So many of us learn about relationship from our parents.
Yeah.
And really, I wanted to create this relationship series to create a new stream of possibility for people who are willing to have a different reality with relationship.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to have a different reality on planet Earth, we need to have a different reality with relationships. One of the things that when I was young, I would have sex with somebody and I'd tell my friends, oh, you got to have sex with this girl. She's great. And they go, what? You want to share? I said, sure, why not? I didn't see a reason not to. I didn't see the reason they had to have a relationship that was exclusive.
Right.
I needed a relationship that was more inclusive.
And I actually didn't really, I know this about you, and I've heard this example quite a lot over the years. And I actually only really understood your point of view and where you were coming from as I got older, in that I realized that what you're looking at is there's not a lack of possibility, and sharing with somebody else doesn't create less for you. It creates more for everybody.
Yeah. That's my point of view. But I don't know whether it's a good point of view or a bad point of view. It's just my point of view.
And the thing is with that, like just that one part of the conversation, you could take that and mull it over and not really get what it actually is for him for, 20 years, because it's a different space of functioning. It is that of no lack. It is that of inclusion. But it's also a sense of no need, and no need to own, no need to control, simply what will create more for everybody. Like what?
Well, it's no need for sure. And it's like, and that's the thing I find most people do in relationship. They need this person in their life. I don't need anybody in my life. I like people in my life, certain people, other people, not so much, but I don't need people. I don't function from a sense of need. Other people have a sense of need. And it's like, I mean, Grace's sons, Grace and then Grace's son and Xander both have a needless point of view, which I think is wonderful. And they like me, but they don't need me. And it's great. Because they always want to come visit. They always want to know what's going on. They're interested, which is very rare. Most people are not interested. They try to be interesting.
Can we slow down and pull apart some of these mind-bending things you're just throwing out in succession, one after another? I wanted to kind of go back to the concept of divorceless relationship.
Yeah.
Which is the title of a book that you authored that will be linked in the show notes for this podcast if anybody's interested. There is quite a lot of life-saving and relationship-improving content generated by the both of you. There will be links and resources for any of you guys that are interested in learning more about this different point of view. So can I, if you don't like this question, we'll change it. Why is divorcing oneself in relationship so prevalent?
Because that's what you see most people do. And that's what people try to teach you.
And really, that is the definition of relationship.
Yeah.
In the world we grew up in. Like that's what a relationship
How do I get
is.
Closer to you is the point of view that you're not close. But that's the need of closeness without being closeness. What would happen if you were being closeness instead of needing closeness?
what would happen is a lot of perceptions would change.
Yes. And that's the thing. You got to have the willingness to have your perceptions change daily.
That's a biggie.
Yes. I just went next door to the house that we have, our guest house. I went next door and they have to redo the stairways because the guy put the stairways so that it would never be more than 3 feet 6 wide. I wanted 4 feet. I told them I wanted 4 feet and they said, oh, we can't do that. You need to have it closer. I go, no, we don't. And I have a different point of view than everybody else does.
So, with your different point of view, so have you found, because I think I need to get a little bit of context here in that both of you guys have had, obviously Gary's my stepfather, he was married to my mother, he was married to another woman before that. Both Gary and Dain have been in these. So can you give a little bit of the path to this different point of view and function in relationship? Sort of where you started, and then what sort of inspired or what led to?
Well, actually, both my marriages led to where I am today because in both cases, I picked women who were beautiful, who were smart, had a lot going for them, and they didn't know they were loved. They had never been loved by their family, which is weird. I can't imagine family not loving you. You know, it's like my point of view is the family should be loving, but these people weren't loved. And because they weren't loved, they didn't believe in love. You know, my first wife thought that love was one red rose. A dozen red roses didn't mean you loved. It meant you wanted something. You were trying to get something. And it's like, I was trying to get nothing. I was just trying to show her that I loved her. And it's like, sorry, not a reality she could have. Sorry.
Right. And so you got to a point. It's been an interesting one watching your relationship trajectory because I've witnessed it for what 40 years now.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of evolution for you, and some of it's been really inspiring, and a lot of it's created a lot of question in my universe. I remember after you and my mom divorced. I remember I never asked you. You sort of offered the information of like that, or maybe I asked you if you were going to get in another relationship, and you were like, and it was this thing of, you gave me this very clear communication of that you didn't see that having a monogamous relationship with a woman was going to be compatible for the kind of world, the kind of life that you wanted to create.
Yeah.
And I
looked at the bad news is I also saw that it wasn't going to happen with a man. So it's like,
right. Exactly. Yeah. It was relationship as the normal kind of relationship as it was no longer something that you could achieve. So which I looked at that and I went, wow. And I really saw that you weren't in reaction. You weren't like, I'm done with relationship. It was really a choice for your universe in a way that gave me so much.
Yeah. I wanted a universe in which everything would be expansive and everything would be possible. If you're living from possibility instead of reaction, you have a whole different universe. And both of my relationships were so reactive that I realized if you live from reaction, you can only have reaction. You cannot have action. And the action that we had, it's like I looked at some pictures of when I was with your mother and I went, gosh, that was fun. And I went, wow, that was fun. There were times when we had fun, but mostly we had argument. We had fight. We had the righteousness of her point of view. Because her life was about fighting for the rightness of her point of view. And it still is. She's still to this day fighting for the rightness of her point of view. And it's like, I don't need a rightness of my point of view. It's just my point of view. It doesn't mean anything.
So can you talk a little bit, share what you got to in your universe in regards to, I guess, relationship is too general of a term. I guess after your second divorce, which I think you were in your 50s when that occurred.
Yes.
Four children in your 50s, starting a new business, Access
Yes.
Consciousness. Can you share a little bit about what you got to for you, since it was so inspiring for me?
What I got to for me was the necessity of knowing what I wanted to create and looking at it and going, okay, am I doing a relationship or a creationship here? Because what I noticed is your mother would always say, I have the best relationship. I hate you. What? You're the kindest man I've ever been with. I hate you. What? And I did not understand how you could have both of those points of view.
Maybe because you're not a woman?
No, I don't know. I didn't look at it as a man or woman thing. I just saw so many people doing it. I saw men who, quote unquote, loved their wives and hated them. Why would you love and hate somebody? Why would you not try to be with somebody?
Okay.
And
so
should be able to be with, not because of.
So can you guys talk about your creationship and what that's been like over the years?
Yes, I just do whatever Dain asks.
And I just do whatever Gary asks. That's why it works.
That's true.
Just do whatever he wants.
Yes.
And see, there is a truth to that. And there's also not, because we will do whatever the other one wants. Why wouldn't you? And it's a recipe for success because there's a caring in that you get to be. And there's also, if this person desires something and I can provide it, why would I not? And
yeah, and that's the thing. You got to be willing to do that.
So what's the difference between that and giving yourself up for the other person?
Giving yourself up is where you are willing to not be you in order to make them happy to be them.
So what's different about what you guys are doing, choosing, and talking about?
I never asked Dain to give up anything except the snakes he wants.
Working on it.
He's going to have it.
Working on it.
That's his idea of working on it.
Working on it. Yeah, really. He doesn't ask me to give up, and I don't ask him to give up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
Sure. Right. And I know there's a lot of stuff. What I really would love to get is the nitty gritty, because I know that there's a lot that each of you has worked on individually to be able to be you and allow the other person to be themselves, which is a real skill, in my opinion.
Yes.
Well, can I do two things? One, can I back up just a little bit because what I see a lot of people have and what I had in relationship was I perceived all these possibilities of what should be available. And I thought the relationship and me and my love for this woman were going to create it. And it never did because they didn't have that as their target. I thought if I see it and they want to be with me, then of course they see it too. But that was never the case. And so...
Okay, now there's the important thing. Never the case. You got to look at what the real case is.
Not the hopeful, what you hope is the case in your head.
Like Dain and I for years had quote unquote money problems. But it wasn't really money problems. I just don't know how to spend money the way he does. And I don't know how to save money the way he does. But those are abilities he has that I don't have.
I mean, this is just opening me up to so many bigger questions because, I mean, you're bringing money into the conversation, which I think any person who's ever been in a relationship that they had any sort of financial involvement knows the extreme complexity of dealing with that subject, let alone all the other things that we're talking about in terms of being you.
You mean the extreme judgment and rightness that one brings along with money?
Yeah.
Exactly. But also the demand, and this is where it's how do you be you, not ask the other person to give themselves up, add money.
Yeah.
Create greater.
It's like a recipe, okay?
Yeah.
You have to find your recipe. It's like if you add three pieces of vinegar to something, it's going to be sour.
Okay, so can we go?
Well,
and maybe sour is the flavor of the day.
Yeah.
Well, can I say you got to find your recipe, but you also have to see if the recipe is worth baking.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Can we take a few steps back to, I think one of you guys said it like this. You said, oh, I don't think, no, it wasn't like this, but this is generally, you have to look at what is. So
Yes.
Dain was giving the example of he would see what was possible in a relationship, but the other person had a different point of view about what they wanted out of the relationship.
But that's the problem. It's like they have a want of a relationship, a lack of somewhere. If you have a lack and you think a relationship is going to cure your lack, it's not.
Ever.
There's a big key. If you think a relationship is going to cure your lack, that's maybe a warning sign that we need to be aware of.
Yes.
That relationship might not have longevity.
Well, it might not be the right relationship.
What do you mean?
Well, is this the relationship you really want to create?
And is this person capable of being in the relationship I want to create?
Yeah. Is this person going to go with me? See, the one thing I had was with your mother, with my first wife, I had made a list of all the things I wanted in a relationship. And she was all those things, but she was also everything I didn't want in a relationship. Did not lack and did not need. Okay. With your mother, I made a list of all the things I wanted and all the things I didn't want. One of the things I asked for is somebody who would fight life's battles with me. I didn't mean with me, I meant alongside me. But what I got was somebody who would fight all of life's battles with me.
Right. Years ago, I asked you a question along these lines. I can't remember if I asked you directly or if it was something that you were talking about in a class. And it was about you and Dain. And you said, we generally have the same target.
Yeah.
And I went, how do you know? So how do you know if somebody has?
He asked, will this work? When Dain and I were having money problems, quote unquote, it was like, okay, so what do I need to do or be different here? And I realized I needed not to think that when he said I could have any money of his I wanted, it was true. Because if I lacked money, he wasn't going to be good.
Which is good. It's a good thing to know about. It's a good thing to know about somebody.
Yeah.
Now I could talk to you about my side of that particular conversation,
Right.
where this and this and this and this and this, and the amount over 25 years, that's so much, right? But let me tell you the key to actually getting to success is handle your side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Do not make anything about them.
Yeah.
Do not make them wrong. Do not make them right.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Well, you got to realize if there's a yuck stuck or what the fuck energy, it is your choice. It's your choice. You're making something true. You're buying a lie. You're using it to separate. You're using it to be right and make them wrong, just like your parents did and everybody you've ever seen. And this is one of the areas which you do that. Okay, fine. But what you're doing is you're destroying you and them and your relationship when you do that. So if you're right, you're destroying your relationship, period.
Yeah.
You need to be right. If you need to make them wrong, the other side of I'm right, you're destroying you. You're not just destroying the relationship because you'll do that on purpose. You are destroying you and your future when you do that. How do you get out of it? Okay, so Pod and Pock, when I was that, everything I'm judging them for, Pod and Pock when I was that, Pod and Pock when I did that, and the real element of it, where am I still doing that right now that I'm not acknowledging? And destroy and uncreate and Pod and Pock, all that. And recognize that the greatest freedom and the only way to give yourself freedom is to look not from they are wrong, I am right, they're right, I am wrong. But if any of that is going on, there's something else beyond it that can be chosen. Go there.
That's so
Go
beautiful.
there.
Yeah. If there's something else beyond that can be chosen, go there.
Yeah.
That's life-giving and so helpful and hard.
What?
Did you know that handling, how do you put it, handle your side of things? Do you know that people don't really know how to do that very well?
Yeah. That's part of the reason we're having this
That's because
conversation.
most people don't bother.
Yeah, they don't bother. That's interesting. So let's go
They
there.
don't look at what can I change. They look at how can these people change.
Oh,
How can Dain change to be what I want him to be?
yeah, and
They
that
don't ever ask that question. I don't want him to change to be what I want him to be. I want him to change for him to be what he wants to be.
Oh, you said something 3 times ago that I wish I'd captured better. You said people don't bother to handle their side of things.
No.
Can we talk a little bit more about that?
Well, most people think they're right by the choices they've made, and deciding that you're right, then you never want to change anything. I don't ever think I'm right. I think I have, taken a fixed point of view. How is this working for me? Is this getting me where I want to be?
Yeah.
Well, when somebody decides they're right, they don't think, "Oh, I've decided I'm right." They just never question. They
never question their rightness.
No, and they see the other person as the source of the problem.
Yeah.
And we still have that. We both look at the other person as the problem.
Well, what I really love, what I've really learned from you guys, both of you guys individually actually, is how to be an allowance of the other person's imperfections, not make them wrong about it, and have a level of caring that supersedes the issues. Yes, there's still issues, and that's why I think the money thing is a really relatable thing for people. Yes, there's still the issues. Like we're not having a conversation here about like the perfect relationship. It doesn't exist. But if you're in
it does exist, but it's not something you'll choose.
Ooh, say more about that.
Yeah, you want a relationship that's right for you, not a relationship that's going to work. You don't look and ask what's going to work here. You ask, how can I get this person to do it right?
What's the difference? Yeah. Okay. So what's the difference between a relationship that is right for you and a relationship that works?
A relationship that works will actually continuously grow. And then a relationship that's right for you is the other person gives up in favor of your needs, desires, or requires.
And enter in divorcing yourself or asking the other person to divorce themselves in relationship.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not the best choice, but it is a choice.
Is this getting me where I want to be? You stated that question about a minute ago. This is a great question. I love this. A lot of times when I'm having an upset with my husband, I will use a lot of the questions you've given me over the years. And this question, is this getting me where I want to be, is how I really pull myself into what I'm creating in that moment, what I'm creating, handling my side of the upset. Is this getting me where I want to be? And if I'm upset, no, I am not. That is not getting me where I want to be.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. It's like the thing is we don't look and go, okay, an upset is what? A truth or a lie?
A lot of people would say it's true. They would say that their upsets are relevant and real and
true. Yeah.
And true.
It's not. It's the lie that you buy that makes an upset a reality.
So how does buying a lie make an upset a reality?
Well, it's like if I was upset with Dain for quote unquote not giving me all the money I wanted, would our relationship have grown?
No way.
No way. But I looked at it and I went, okay, he's upset with this. Then I need to look at this different. What am I doing or what can I change that would make this work better? Work better. Work better. Work better. I'm interested in what works, not what makes me right.
So what about if a relation, I think this work better thing is so vital.
Just to be clear, I thought I was a saint for the amount of money that I was giving without even having a point of view.
He is a saint.
So
Noted. It's on the
wow.
record. It's on the
No,
record.
well, maybe go where you were going to. This might take us in a different direction.
Go for it. I
Well,
love it.
well, look at this for a moment because, like, we brought up this thing with money, and we will use the thing that traditionally has the most charge to create comfortable distance.
Interesting. Yeah.
And if you're actually and in the world we live in, people use money to get control. They use it to hide their insufficiencies and deficiencies and not have to be present.
They use it in order to whip people.
They use it to whip people, all this sort of stuff, right? Well, but if you're together with that person, whatever way you are, because it creates greater, then not like getting over the shit of money as it comes up is going to create greater all around. It's never about the money. We just act like it is so that we can slot ourselves into those structures, into the basically cognitive dissonance and the hardwiring of this reality.
And it's like, and being with somebody is a whole lot different than having a relationship with somebody. Relationship means the distance between two objects. First of all, you're not an object. I'm sorry, you're not an object.
Oh my God, maybe I could be the subject.
You could. So it's always about looking at what's going to work here. What's going to work here? What's going to work here?
Dain said it's never about the money.
Nope, never.
It's such an easy sentiment to disregard, and it's such an easy sentence to ignore. And if any of you guys out there listening to this have ever had an upset around money in a relationship, you're welcome. This is for you. So Dain, what do you
any relationship? It's like money is the one thing that justifies any upset you have.
Okay, so money can justify an upset.
Yes.
Money can, it's interesting.
Source of upset.
Money can be the source of upset.
Well, if you just look at that, money is a justification for upset. Okay, it looks like it's about money. I'm justified for being upset. You could stop there, in which case you'll just repeat all the patterns that you've learned and not get anywhere greater. And you'll be in the same or a lesser place in the future. Or you could go, okay, what is the real upset?
And how can we make this work?
How can we make this work? But also, there's some questions we use in Access. What am I avoiding? What am I defending? And what am I proving here? Because what we don't realize is the deep, at the beginning of a relationship, the stuff that comes up, you're willing to do it because you got hormones going or whatever it is, And then as it gets further on, you get less and less willing. Well, I don't. I go the opposite, but most people get less and less willing to look at it as an opportunity for growth, quote unquote, becoming more aware and more conscious. And they see it as, oh, this fucker's doing that fucking piece of fucking shit again. And what is created in that is you're doing comfortable distance. They're here and you're here. You're doing the definition of relationship. But that is exactly what we have all learned. And so you got to realize that your hardwiring and your programming will pull on you to go into this upset so that you can solidify your place in your relationship, therefore solidify your place in the world.
And define your place in the world. Define your place in relationship. What if you have no place in relationship? What if you had a space of relationship? One of the first things that Dain and I did is we moved into a house in Santa Barbara together. And we, moved in, we had all of our boxes and everything. And within 3 days, we had the whole house set up and ready to go.
3,500 square foot house, hundreds of boxes, like
Yeah.
tons, like stuff everywhere. And there was this one period of time where we had all these boxes, and it was the kitchen and the dining room or whatever. And it was like, this was going to take at least a couple of days, right? And we
Normally would have.
We did it in 90 minutes.
Yes, 90 minutes. We did 2 rooms.
Like, and
What?
I mean,
What?
and you hear a story like that, you're like, yeah, that probably wasn't what you thought. No, literally, we were planning on about 2 days. That's what it should have taken to handle what we literally did it in 90 minutes. And we looked at each other and went, holy shit.
That was magic.
That was magic. But that's the space. And that's what that is a huge part of what people are also avoiding
Is the
by how they're going about these
magic.
things. Yep. And look at this for a moment. You see magic. I mean, most of the people that are in a relationship of some form, they saw magic when they met that person. And they were like, fuck yeah, it's on, let's go. And then what? 10 seconds later, you're now into all the structures, all the hardwiring, all the stuff.
Normal relationship.
Hormones keep it going for a while. Lust is a beautiful thing, which keeps magic alive for a bit and makes the judgment less relevant. But after that, what we do is we go into these structures, these judgment separations, and we say it, you can see how it kills the magic, but I think a lot of us do it to kill the magic.
Yes.
Without even realizing it.
Well, it's like you can't have magic, because if you had magic, then there would be no problem in life.
Right.
And if you have no problem, it's hard to have a relationship.
And it's hard to have friends.
The whole idea of a relationship is we have someone to talk to
about our problems.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I learned from you guys, is that creationship can also just be a celebration of living. And,
yes. Well, it is. Should be.
Yeah. Yeah. This thing about killing the magic. I mean, we could do probably a 3-hour deep dive into each sentence that's coming out. And it's really this, I think that there's a misconception a lot with access, especially since this sort of the pitch right at the beginning is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory, that can easily be misconstrued as you're not going to have to work at consciousness and be getting greater. And this thing about, if you're never making money, the problem, handling your side of things. Is this getting me where I want to be? Really looking at your actions in the relationship.
But you have to be willing to be bluntly honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And even when we say looking at it, we know if it feels yuck, there's something to change. It's not rocket science. It's like we're all aware of what something.
It is. It's rocket science.
Ooh, I mean, it's rocket science. And we know, so it's in that moment where the yuck comes up, that because the gloriousness, we're like, oh, this is freaking awesome. Yeah. We just had the best talk ever. We just had great sex. We just had the best sex and a great talk, and oh my God, everything's great, and that's where the possibilities are that we will gladly enjoy more of until it's too much where we shut it down. But then when we get to the yuck part, we got to be willing to not make them wrong, not make us wrong. And then at that point, start asking some questions.
It's not making anybody wrong. Nobody is wrong.
Nobody is wrong.
Nobody is right.
Even Dain.
Dain is never wrong.
Nobody is wrong. Even Dain. See, because the tradition here is Gary's right, I'm wrong. And
all the women you go out with know that.
Hello. No, here's an interesting part about that. Is the way Gary's wired, he doesn't see himself as wrong. The way I was wired,
myself as right.
Now that is an interesting thing that I'm finally realizing. It's so cool. Because the way I was wired is I'm the wrong one. I learned this from a very young age. I will be the wrong one. Hey, thumbs up to you. Hold on. Wait, let's see if we can do it. Hold on. No? Wait.
Aw.
The way I was wired is I was the wrong one, and that was my place. And from there, I could create what I was there to create, which is interesting because in my world, it looked like Gary's right, I'm wrong. Gary thinks he's right, I'm wrong. It took decades. And this was
and it's still happening.
And it's but almost like so little. But here's what I want to say is it took, I want to say so many things, but it took decades of me looking and asking questions and using tools and pock and potting the shit out of everything I possibly could. But it wasn't until I finally, the hugest leap was when I looked at all of these yuck stuck energies and I went, enough. I am not ever making him wrong again. I'm not ever assuming his point of view again. I'm not ever assuming that he thinks he's right, because my side of that is I think I'm wrong and you think you're right. And therefore I'm superior because I'm wrong and you're right, because you fucking superior people. Oh my God, I'm better than you secretly.
You're superior asshole and I'm a kind, humble person.
Exactly. Oh my God, I've finally been acknowledged. Okay. And so all of these stories were things that I was doing that was limiting me, trying to be right by being wrong. And it wasn't until I got to that place of I'm never making him wrong again, and I'm not going to make me wrong again. And when I say never, that's not just one choice you get to make. It's, okay, I'm doing it again. What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? And going on the journey and doing the work.
Doing the work. And that's something that I have a huge amount of respect for. I think it's also essential that you're with somebody who's willing to work through things with you. I know that, Dad, you taught me that a long time ago, actually after I was already married. There's a lot of shit I had to learn after I was married. I got married very quickly, and then I had to figure out what the fuck I was doing.
Well, the fun part was, it's like I'm going to tell on you. And the fun part is I warned her not to marry Max, and I warned Max not to marry her. And they did it anyway. I went, well, this will be a great adventure. And it has been.
Yeah, it's actually it gets greater and greater all the time. And
I'm sorry.
That doesn't get better. I owe a lot of that to your guys' leadership and contribution and mentorship and contribution. Like a lot of times Max and I joke around that it's not just two of us in the relationship. There's really three of us, and sometimes there's four of us, and sometimes there's five of us, because it really takes a village.
It takes a village to raise an idiot.
It takes a village to have for us to have a relationship, for it to work.
Yes. A workable relationship. Yes.
One of the things you taught me in the beginning was that if somebody's willing to work through stuff with you, that's a benefit.
Yes.
I had actually never really made the distinction until you pointed it out. And you pointed it out to me one night, and I went away and I thought about it for a while, and I realized that I had never really identified when someone was working with me to work through something and when somebody was working against the process. Me too. But when I was working against the process, or when I was working with, and that's something I think you're really talking about, Dain, there, and you're really willing to work through the process by, as you say it, handling your side of things, not making you wrong, not making him right, not making him wrong, not making you right. I mean, talk about an incredible place to start working through. Can you even work through anything? Can you actually even work through anything if somebody's wrong and somebody's right?
No. Because there's nothing to work through, because you're already right and you're already wrong.
But you can work through your side. You can work through your side no matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And that is, see, this is the whole, how do I even say it? This is where it is. Okay. That one awareness right there means that no matter what relationship you're in, no matter it, you can become greater. If you do that is the key to a successful relationship.
Yes, because it's got to be where each of you grow because of it, not because each of you becomes less.
And isn't it interesting also to recognize that in order to work through stuff or to handle your side of things, you have to be willing to lose the relationship too.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Yep.
And that might be succeeding. Right? And that's
Losing it may be success. I mean, it's like losing my 2 wives. Each one of them created a different success for me.
Losing my fiance who was my girlfriend, started doing Access, saw all these possibilities like I was talking about. And I'm like, yay. So what did I do? I asked her to marry me, which is something I knew she wanted, needed. I'm like, oh, I could do this. No problem. I could do this for her. Oh, see, sweet guy. And losing that was one of the greatest. That was, I thought, okay, I'm going to do me. I can do my stuff. And I had the idea that she was on the same page. She wasn't. But losing it, this is where we've got to be, like you said, be willing to lose the relationship.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't willing to lose the relationship, I wouldn't be here right now, because there's a certain point at which you have to choose either the limitation of the relationship and the person that you will not go beyond, and they will not go beyond, and you've decided you will not go beyond, or they will not go beyond. And now you got to cut off anything that will take you beyond it.
And if you're willing to work through your stuff, it might mean recognizing that the relationship isn't working and that you might be with somebody who is not interested in growing with you.
Yes. It's like when I realized that my wife wanted to fight with me about life's battles, not work with me, not fight alongside me, but fight directly with me. It's like I realized this can't work, because what she wants and what I want are 2 different things.
And that's something that you really taught me that I am so appreciative for, is the ability to know what works.
Yep.
And to know what works for me, which is a big distinction from being right.
Yes. Big distinction.
Do you want to talk about the difference and the distinction between knowing what works for you and being right?
Actually, I am going to have to excuse myself. I'm not feeling great.
Okay.
And it's like, I think we should schedule another time to go into this.
We can. Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, we can. And we can also you can leave and this can just go on like without you, or we can do a lot of different things.
Good idea. Go on without me. You go on without me. You guys are great. Thank you.
Thanks, my friend.
You. Love you. No, please take care.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, this is Shannon in another outfit and another time and place. If you're enjoying these relationship-focused podcasts, I invite you to check out all of the sex and relationship content, previously conducted classes, and access consciousness classes that I have available for all of you on my website. It will be linked below. If you're ready to really begin to unwind, unlock, and transform the places where you've been stuck in creating the kind of relationships that make your life easier, if you haven't enjoyed sex, if you go crazy in any of these areas, please recognize you're not alone. These areas can be extremely rewarding, and they can also be extremely difficult. The more of you have, the easier these areas become. Who did you learn about relationship from? Did you receive an education about the kind of sex and copulation that would heal your body, create more joy for you and the other, and create more space, peace, and possibility? What kind of sexual education were you ever given? It's like, where do you go to access what's light and not constantly be in reaction to the projections, the expectations, the heavy, and the difficulty, the secrets, the control that can exist so dynamically in the area of sex and relationship? Check out these classes if you would like to change your life. So do you want to speak to that question about the difference between what works for you and being right?
And being right. Yeah.
Let me just give a quick little fast forward. Dad left. He left the kid. He left the kids to run the roost. He went to go have a lay down. So you have Dain and I here now. We're going to bring this on home. So
that's right.
The question: what's the difference between knowing what works for you and being right?
Well, here's the difficulty: is most people have decided that when they're right, that's what works for them.
Mm.
In other words, so knowing what works for you is actually a space of there's no charge, there's no judgment, there's no need to make somebody else wrong in order to have your point of view. There's no need to make somebody else right in order to perpetrate that they're keeping you from having your point of view and your choice. Instead, it's like, okay, if this works or not. Like when I got to the place in my relationship that I had before Access that I broke up shortly after Access, where I'd asked her to marry me because I saw all these possibilities. And I went to an Access class and she wasn't there. She didn't do Access. She didn't actually like me doing Access. I didn't realize it at the time, but I would have these really present hugs with people. And I'm like, oh my God, I really like hugging. This is amazing. And people would be so present with me. And I was like, wow. And I recognized a difference in the energy when she would hug me. So I came home from this event and I went, okay, I'm going to try this out. And I said, I'm so grateful for you. And I gave her a hug and she did one of those pat on the back, 3-second withdraw as soon as possible things. I was like, whoa, like not present at all, not grateful, and I started recognizing people who were grateful for me and she didn't have that energy either. And I went, okay, maybe she's having a bad day. Mm-hmm. So the next day, after whatever, she's woken up, had her coffee, has a smile on her face, whatever. I said, hey, can I have a hug? I'm so grateful for you. And she did it again. And there was absolutely no gratitude and I started recognizing, I went, wow, this is amazing. This doesn't work for me. I tried it one more time that night. And the next morning I said, I'm sorry, we need to break up. Now, why? It wasn't she's a bad, terrible person, but what I predicated the relationship on wasn't even there. I predicated on this person loves me and adores me and is grateful for me and is interested in this journey that I'm on and is really present with me.
Yeah. A few minutes ago, you were talking about the way in which you work through and handle your stuff in relationship with Gary. And one of the things you said was, I'm never going to presume his point of view ever again, which is you just reiterated that with you said for you, the relationship was predicated on this person cares about me, which is you were presuming that she was having the same definition or experience of caring that you were desiring.
Yep.
So, I mean, could you talk a little bit more about that, about presuming somebody? It's so big. And again, we need sort of novels to go through this stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, that one is so big. That is the death of all relationships right there. Presuming something, anything, rather than being with what is. Mm. And it's why, a long time ago, toward more the beginning of the conversation where we go into it having all of these hopes and dreams, but what we really have is a bunch of projections and expectations because we can perceive the possibilities, but we don't know, we're not willing to be aware of, can this person actually go there? And do they even have any of the desires I do? And the difficulty is we've grown up with so many structures of how to relate to people that we learn before we could even talk. So much of that is energetically hardwired in that when it butts up. So if we have a projection and expectation that's not being met, then that's the creation of upset. But what happens is when we have that upset, that can be a tool for us to get free of that upset now and forever, but also get clear on what our actual point of view is.
I love that about you. And that's something you have given me in spades, is the ability to recognize that an upset can be a key to get over your stuff. Boy, have you given me the courage to face my most vulnerable, ugly, tender parts when that and I've heard you say this so many times, when you have an upset, it's an opportunity to get over your, like, to change your point of view, to really work on yourself. Thank you for that, by the
Thank
way.
you.
For giving, like, I think I've probably heard you say it 7 trillion times. And I think maybe I heard it maybe the last 4 times you said it. And I was like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. That's one of those, you gets it when you gets it, And the thing about, see, it's forget, it left my head. Whatever I was about to say, my train left the station.
Yeah. So needless to say, I just need to reiterate for anybody listening that my interesting point of view is that many of the things that we're saying, they don't necessarily, the depth to which you can sift through and get these things is required to be able to create a relationship. Because if you've got these hardwirings and these structures and these projections and these expectations, are you creating a relationship, or are you sort of under siege constantly, and are putting the people that you say you care about under siege so that they match your point of view about what needs to be? And that is not the kind of relationship we're talking about. Like, and I really thank you, Dain, for being you. You've really shown me, and recently you gave me a huge key, because I realized that I was projecting some version of what I thought the dynamic between us needed to be. And you do this, like, incredible kung fu master thing where you create this space where change can occur. And you opened a door for me, and I realized that I was just coming at it from my point of view, not really looking at you, and also not really getting how to care for you in the way I actually really desired to. And so I wasn't getting it. But if we could imperfectly work through stuff together,
That right there, that if makes me cry, because if there is nothing else that you get out of this, if you can imperfectly work through it together,
yeah.
That right there is the key for a phenomenal creationship. That and if you can't work through it together, are you willing to imperfectly work on your stuff with maybe you and somebody else?
Yeah,
you can work through it, because it's not about the other person until it is. And until it's not about the other person, until they're either such a contribution that it is so great that what they're contributing is so much, or there's such a limitation that you can no longer be limited by it and need to change the dynamics of the relationship. But if we can, but it is about the other person being there with you, if you can imperfectly work through it together, have that allowance for each other and have that caring for each other. But here's the thing. This willingness to not make them wrong, not make them right, not make it about them at all, and not presume any of what they have going on without actually conversing with them. And even then, don't buy it, because they could be lying to themselves. But that is a recipe for finally caring for you, finally having your back. Because one of the things that occurs in most relationships is, because of all the dynamics we've discussed, people don't truly care for themselves. They got into a relationship for somebody to care for them, except you can't care for somebody who's not willing to care for themselves. It's impossible. But going from this perspective that I've been talking about, and all these, and there's so many aspects, we could, as we've mentioned, that is a recipe for actually getting to caring for you and intimacy with you and liking you.
And you and I love that. It's like it's so interesting putting these conversations, these ideas, these energies out into the world. And I'm always wondering, like, what are people hearing? Like, why did they click to listen to this?
And how crazy do they think we are for everything we just said today?
Exactly. And how crazy or stupid or wrong do they think we are, or weird? And it's this thing about really truly caring for you. Could you guys imagine a world where people actually really took care of, like, cared for themselves? Just that alone is world changing. And to reiterate the thing that you've said several times in this conversation, Dain, about not making the other person wrong or right, not making you wrong or right. Just that right there.
Yep.
Talk about advanced. That's advanced. And
hugely.
And if you can get that under your belt, you'd be seriously strong and capable of being something in the world that many people, in my observation, are not capable of. Or they're just not interested, which was what Dad said. He said, they're just not interested.
Exactly. They just have no desire. They'd rather be right, wrong, have somebody to complain about. They'd rather just play their part in the story that they have put themselves into.
Cool. Rather than being the creator, the director, the author, the artist of living, of the possibility of a creationship with oneself and with the world.
That.
Big time, big stuff. Thank you, Dain. Thank you so much. I love that we got the green shirt memo for this.
I know. I'm like, oh my God, we match. This is awesome.
If you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, if you're just listening, Dain and I are matchy. We're doing the greens.
Totes.
Thank you so much.
Relationship.
Thank you so much for taking the space, Dain, for sharing your energy, for being open, for always being an inspiration for me, like life-saving.
Thank you.
Again, if any of you guys want more of the deep dive into this different way or this different possibility of relationship, much of the relationship and sex content that Gary and Dain create and invite you to will be linked below. Hold on to your horses. Get ready for a beautiful, different possibility. Thanks, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to make consciousness easy to find and choose. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and share this with somebody who you know who might be looking for more consciousness in their life. You can visit me on Shannon-Ohara.com or talktotheentities.com. And to learn more about the amazing tools of Access Consciousness, you can visit accessconsciousness.com and be sure to subscribe to the podcast.